Alright, I'm gonna keep reading these. Probably now it just turned 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm probably gonna just keep reading these until I gotta take Mr. T to the vet. It's probably gonna take me that long, but okay, I left off, I was trying to break, and then I did break kind of, but I decided to say a little bit more until I really resumed at 2:52 p.m. on March 24th. But I'm just going to continue when it was 2:05 p.m. on March 24th. So, and before I really go, because Mr. T blocked me so he could stand there and be taking in the moment of his glory, or the glory all around him, as I rubbed his back, standing there, and I said, because you are dog. That's what I tell them a lot of times, all my dogs, when I pet them, because they want me to pet them. And I say, because you are dog. When I get back, I will talk about my chickens and what they teach me. Teach me about God and about pressing my luck. Okay, I have a big story to tell you now. It has many parts, but it is one story, true to me and true to life. Just like Bob Dylan said in Trust Yourself, or maybe it was Girl from the Red River Shore. Okay, now 2:52 p.m. I came home and the mailman, because he is a man, and he always gave my dogs lots of treats when he delivered my mail all these years. I used to have a lot of dogs, and he kept lots of treats. He is like a secret agent man. He is like that to me and my dogs. It is a secret why he gave my dogs treats. He was their secret agent, and mine, because he delivered my mail that nobody could get but me in my own mailbox. It's private. It's secret. After I tell you my story, I am going to end it with the last thing I heard on my radio from the NPR show broadcast called Here and Now. And anthropics, quote unquote. Here was a Freudian slip. Okay. Here. Okay, I put here in parentheses, HEAR was a Freudian slip. I crossed it out for the correct spelling. But you do have to hear HEAR with your ears it as well. So see, I wrote here HERE. No, I wrote here HEAR, but that was a Freudian slip. I meant to write here HERE. Two different meanings, but Freudian slip. I know your mom is an expert in Freudian slips, so she can tell you what that means. I went to the store after I left from giving my plasma. I like to get my dogs hot dogs because when I come home, I like them to know that I always think about them, even when I'm gone, and they just trust I am coming back. This is also a secret note because I never told anybody this before, but you, here and now. Sometimes we don't eat that much food, and when we are hungry, I have found that 1 or 2 hot dogs and a scoop of peanut butter goes a long way in killing hunger pains or holding oneself off until you can have a proper meal. We usually save our proper meal until nighttime, so we can sleep better. When I went to the store, the first time I seen a guy who looked like a guy who I took a picture of, who looked like the guy I took the picture of, and then later I seen in the background of the picture, when I zoomed in on it, Quinn's body and the burning fire. I think I told you about that in another letter I wrote you. I didn't blame him for it, but I knew he could be part of the group that was trying to kill my dogs, hurt me, and steal from me stuff I have worked for my life for. I have worked my life for. He looked different, like he was in disguise. He was also a secret agent, but I could see through his disguise. When I was checking out at the cash register where you pay, I told the lady, because I liked her and knew her a little bit, that the guy in the plaid clothes is stealing from you. I seen him put stuff in his pockets. She thanked me and I left. On my second trip to the store, she was talking to the lady who was replacing her for work, and I asked her what she made of my tip, quote unquote. See, it was a secret tip. I tipped her off. She said, I told him at checkout to also empty his pockets and pay for the other stuff he took, or she would call the police. I said, normally I mind my own business, but when I seen him from the checkout in the aisle looking, not at groceries to buy, but to see if anyone was looking, I knew just by looking at his eyes that he had an evil eye, that he was practiced at the art of deception, and I didn't like it. So I told on him. The other lady said, yeah, that's exactly how I can tell when someone is stealing too. I walked out and the first lady followed me, so I stopped and talked more with her. I asked her if his name was Robert. He looked like the guy I'm talking about. She said she didn't know, but she would look next time. She said everything he took he could have paid for because he had government aid to pay for it. All anyway. I said I didn't like it because when I seen him look my way, I realized he was a snake in the grass, a person who practices in the art of deception and thievery. I learned all that from my own conscience. Nobody told me all that. I figured it out myself, and some of it took a long time in figuring out. But since I have always been my own secret operative with my own agency, now I know a few things, and I want to pass them on to you because I know the secrets people try to trick other people with for their own advantage, and it does not make the world a better place. That is the difference between our, quote unquote, O-U-R, quote unquote, and them, quote unquote. In the final analysis, we are one. I say we must try to make it better. And your name, R, A-R, also sounds like R-O-U-R. That's what you call synchronicity. So on the way home, NPR radio was telling a story about Anthropics. Anthropics is superintelligence made by a company with that name. I never looked it up to see what it meant, but this is the story. Anthropics had a contract with the government, but when they seen that the government was going to use their super intelligence for purposes in war that they did not approve of, they told the government and the military that they could not use their invention for bad purposes, especially since it seemed the Trump regime wanted to use it even against Americans, regular people, to control them by what they think and believe to be true, what they think and believe to be true. They want to use superintelligence to manipulate that through lies, mostly. Then the Trump regime labeled them a national risk and tried to destroy them. See, Arden, that's why my heart is pounding. And I have to tell you, the challenges I know you will have to face in life will be even more difficult than everything I know. Superintelligence is not human or really alive, like in the dream I had of my mom writing down stuff that was alive to her, and in my comparison of using a multimeter to check what was alive with electricity. I learned about the difference so I won't be tricked. It is sad, Arden, that most people cannot see past the stuff that's artificial. But even with beautiful art or super intelligence, we have to see past the superficial or fake or even beautiful things to know the truth behind it. A rose is a rose, no matter what name you give it. So this could be maybe my 7th principle. You are greater than the sum of your parts. I didn't know that I was going to write you about all these principles, but now I see that to have agency and to be your own private eye or secret agent woman, some of this stuff is essential or necessary to be who you really are. A person has to study theirself and know theirself and know the dynamics of this world we live in to keep their own conscience and get to the matter of the heart. I learned that from my mom and my dad, and like I told you, when I was growing up, trying to make things better. I think now I will give you more particulars. The corpus. Corpus is a Latin word, and Latin is considered a dead language because people don't speak it anymore. But that does not mean that the corpus, quote unquote, which means body, is alive or dead. Corpus points to the beyond. That's why people have to use so many words to describe it. We can't describe this subject matter with words alone. And the definition of corpus is a collection of written texts, especially of particular author or body of writing on a particular subject. The Darwinian corpus is the collection of written or spoken material in machine-readable form, assembled for the purpose of studying linguistic structures and frequencies, etc. Darwin was what is called a materialist. He wrote The Survival of the Species. He coined the phrase survival of the fittest. He also introduced the theory of evolution. He reduced everything to the material. He did not study the spiritual or matters of the heart. He did not see anything beyond the material world. Today, people like me understand that consciousness is more than machine language and cannot be reduced to what your dad calls the cyborg God. In the Occidental West, I'm not sure why it's called that when our Earth is really round. East and West are just references in terms of convenience. But in the so-called East, people's philosophies were and are considered to be non-dualistic. They see things as one whole, as one whole thing, and don't accent opposites. In the West, we tend, or as your dad would say, gesture, toward consideration of opposite polarities, like good and evil, real or fake, sentient or automatic. When I respond to some of your dad's analysis in these subject matters, I recalled for him how T.S. Eliot's play, The Cocktail Party, shed light on the subject of being human. One guy told the other that in the impersonal nature of life, sometimes we can feel like we are nothing more than a set of outdated responses. We can go through life like a robot, trained to never break the rules, but always live according to the program we've been given. Now and then, though people break free from the program and live their true, authentic lives. Now and then, though, people break free from the program and live their true, authentic lives. We do this because we know in our heart that this, quote unquote, is material world. This material world is not all that there is. We see the beyond. We become visionaries. The real word might be visionaries, but I like my word better. I break the rules for the better, and I trust myself because I am my own private eye or secret agent. The universe and our world, the one God made the universe and our world, the one God made was made by consciousness. Consciousness and sentience or sentience. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I'll say sentience. The ability to feel and know. That's what sentience or sentience means. Came before the material world. So, the ability to feel and know, sentience, came before the material world we live in. Otherwise, nothing would be alive. Some people still believe that the material world made conscious sentience, but I disagree. I believe conscious sentience made the world we live in and made us, and that's why we have consciousness in us. Sometimes people, for their own purposes and advantage, want to reduce us to mere material commodities. Like your dad said, we are both commodity and the other one, but I can't remember what he called it. But two words. But it means we are both real and artificial or fake. Note, some people, as you will discover, are more fake than others. If the job of the artist is to make the artificial, then the artist does well to make it point beyond the mere material it's made out of to meaning. Okay? Art has to try to make it more than mere material so that it points to real meaning. That's why they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I worked with a guy once who paid his child support and all that, but he could never hardly have real time with his child. In his sorrow and bewilderment, he told me, at least I have, or they send me, a picture. That made him sad. When I look at the pictures I make, like the heart I sent you with flowers and the secret name I gave you, Bomba, a Bomba rose, it means a lot to me. And when I make them with my dog's pictures and I look at them, they speak volumes to me. I see beyond the picture. I make into a deeper meaning. Into a deeper meaning. One words can never match. It looks like it's gonna rain soon, and I have to put dirt and seeds into pots so I can start my pepper bushes. Talk to you later. And those are my pots. (3/25/2026), 3:15 a.m. A picture, words can never match. All right, a picture, words can never match. Dear Artie, when your dad told me your name for the first time, it was like I knew instantly that you were going to save the ocean. I wrote him a text message with one line. I said, I think she is going to save the ocean. Afterwards, I wondered, since he never replied or asked me why I thought that, if he thought I was just crazy. I am not crazy. I know this because I've been checking up on myself for a long time and other things too for my whole life. I am my own private eye. I am a secret agent man, and I have agency. I have been working this operation for a long time now, and I get classified information sometimes from, for lack of a better word, headquarters. This headquarters, of which I refer, is beyond me. Like I wouldn't know it if I didn't feel it in my heart. Feeling something in your heart is a different kind of knowing. Some things, when you know them, you do something about them. This is called the action reflection model. We know things, we do things. We know things, we do things. We keep knowing more and doing more. That is how we become. That is how we become. We become who we are, Artie. And I drew a happy face. We could imagine a picture of who we are, or put it in line, poetry or prose. But machine language will not cut it for human beings, because we are more than regular old beans that grow up from a root. We are like them kind of, though, because we all have roots. Your mom and dad can tell you more about that, because I know they talk about it, having introduced it by another word, Rizzo. If I ever get another dog, I think I shall call her or him Rizzo. It's a good name and means a lot. Everything has roots in something. We have roots in our story, our myths, our art, our math, our gods, our loves, our hates, our sadnesses, our happinesses, our inner knowing, our outer knowing, our friends, our families, and for me, my dogs. And also for me, even you. Except it might seem backwards for me to say that, but everything is not just as it appears at first, or sometimes ever. But we have to get to the root of the matter. Because I was saying, like, I even have my roots in you, because that could be backwards, though, because, I was born before you, so it's like, your dad would have roots in me, you would have roots in me. But I have my roots like in you too. So, you gotta think about things like, it works both ways. But we have to get to the root of the matter, or as I prefer to say, the heart of the matter. We do have roots in each other, and that means something more than a family tree or a genogram. When I study these things, I always try to get to the heart of the matter. I did that after I knew you were going to save the ocean. Headquarters told me that, but at first I didn't know what all that meant. So I started investigating my heart where I first knew it. Some people could say, you don't know that for sure, or you don't know that for sure, or what do you base that on? And they could even try to prove me wrong, but that would not work, because I've been in this business a long time and I trust myself, just like Bob Dylan told me to. Etc. When you want somebody you can trust yourself. That means your own conscious self. Ultimately, our roots are in God. God is the source of our sentient consciousness, not some machine. The heart of the matter is God, the living God, the God who lives inside every living thing. God lives through us. God lives in a being, B-E-A-N too, but we know more because we have agency, at least more of it. We learn all this from both the great and the small, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Well, I got off track, but like I used to always tell my dogs when they were younger, I say what I mean and I mean what I say. So if I say what I mean what I say. Back to what I meant to say. When looking into the art of the matter given to me from headquarters, the headquarters beyond me, but also the headquarters set up in my own heart that I work out of, I had to think about what that meant. That you would save the ocean. The first thing was that the ocean is like Mother Earth's heart. So on my climbing wall, I made a sign that says, not for sissies, and climb every mountain, and love your mama to the bottom of her sea. That's the ocean. And there is a lot of things in the ocean we don't know about, but we love her. If we love her and we have to do right by her, and I do. If we love her, we have to do right by her, and I do. So I thought that meant like you would be a scientist or maybe an advocate i.e., that is, a lawyer or attorney. But now I have another idea. You could be a journalist or a reporter, even like my mom, your great-grandma Sharon, was in her notebook. Well, we all have to write things and make art so we can get to the meaning and do our best to match it with words. When we match things to words, however, we can't say that that's all it is, because we make a picture that words can never really match. This idea is fundamental in our knowing, isn't it? Like, I can't express all you mean to me or limit you to a certain name. Names mean more than they can say. To make this point clear, I am going to write you a story of a lady named Annabelle Ramiro, but at first I thought it was Annabelle Ramirez, because that's what it sounded like the guy said, but it's really Annabelle Ramiro, and I spelled her name wrong at first. But okay, she told her story in a shadow hearing on Trump ICE abuse yesterday, and I heard it today. I've seen her tell it, and I will give you a picture of her and her children too on this page. Annabelle Romero. Okay, so I wrote down what she said. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. My name is Annabelle Romero. I'm a U.S. citizen born and raised in Idaho. I am a medical assistant, a wife, a mother of 4. October 19th, 2025 was the day our lives changed for the bad. I took my kids to La Catelle in Idaho, where families gathered on Sundays to watch horse races and spend time together. I have gone to horse races since I can remember it. It has always been a part of my life. That day was like any other fun day at the horse races for my family. I went with my stepson and my 3 youngest children. Suhei, 14, Na, 8, and Alfredo, AL, 6. We watched a couple of races. It was a rainy morning, so the children were in and out of my truck. They got hungry and I got them some food for them from one of the vendors. There were vendors of all sorts there. The 2 youngest children stayed in the truck with my oldest daughter, eating their food. Me and my stepson went to get some food for ourselves and walked back to the horse dolls, to look at the horses. Or it might be dolls, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I saw a helicopter. I thought nothing of it. Since I work in the medical field, I thought it was probably Lifelight, helping someone in need. But then I saw people running and screaming, terrified. Then men in military gear stormed in with weapons ready. Terrified, the first thing I did was call my daughter and tell her not to get out of the truck and take care of her brother and sister. I was terrified for their safety. After that, I ran and hid in one of the horse stalls. I was violent. It was violent chaos everywhere. Armed men barged in immediately. They started grabbing me without letting me know what was going on, who they were, or why they were there. They did not identify themselves. I was asking, demanding answers. They started grabbing me. I told them not to touch me, and they wouldn't give me any answers. They kept on grabbing me. One of them threatened to blow my head off. I kept demanding answers. Then 5 of them threw me to the ground and started kicking me and punching me. My head was in the shavings. I couldn't breathe, and they zip-tied me in the back. After that, they brought me up, and I told them I needed to get to my children. One of them actually laughed and said they were taking better care of them than I was. All I wanted was to get to my children. I was with dozens of other people zip-tied in, it should say zip-tied in the back, herded like cattle to the center of the arena. When my kids and I finally spotted each other, they ran to me and they started crying and telling me everything happened. My oldest daughter was thrown out of the truck. She got bruises all down her side, and they wouldn't let her take care of her younger siblings. My 2 youngest were taken from the truck at gunpoint. They are 6 and 8 years old. They were alone and terrified. My 14-year-old daughter had to care for all of them. When my children were with me, I couldn't comfort them. They were crying, and I was still zip-tied in the back with no answers for why I was being detained or why these hundreds of officers were there. My children had to use the restroom. I wasn't able to take them because they wouldn't remove the zip ties. They didn't even provide restrooms, so many people were forced to go out in the open. The degradation kept mounting. Eventually, they brought porta potties, and after my 14-year-old daughter was finally able to use the restroom, she was also zip-tied. She started having panic attack. I told the officers she was underage. She was 14, and it wasn't right. I feared she might hurt herself if she fainted. I asked them to zip tie her in the front. They did, but she was still having a panic attack. And I repeated to them that she was underage, but they didn't care. We waited zip-tied and scared for 3 hours. When my daughter told an officer her zip ties were too tight, he laughed. Eventually, we realized what was happening. They herded us like cattle and tied everybody up so the ICE could check everyone's immigration status. Hundreds of people at a family event, grandparents, infants, and all. They knew most of us were Hispanic and Latino. For them, that was enough to treat us all like criminals and degrade us. Then they almost took my kids from me because they all don't have my last name. The raid was 5 months ago, but we are all still suffering. All that violence was pre-planned and targeted on a Sunday afternoon. And she said more, but that's the story. Arden, what does it all mean? It means something, doesn't it? It means a lot more than we can even say. Words can't really do justice to it, but I'm glad Annabelle Ramiro tried, and that also means a lot. It's really important to learn words and learn to use them effectively, but when it comes down to it, we still know that there is more. There is always more than meets the eye. That could be another principle. More than meets the eye. Life is more than meets the eye, even for a private eye. 9:45 a.m., 3/25/2026. Dear Bomba, I am reminded of another couple secrets, but I'm going to start this one on another one.